trip down the river is just beautiful. It's a very long river and it started raining, but we thoroughly enjoyed the whole trip. Just at the mouth of the river at Winyaw Bay, the Sandpit River goes into Georgetown, and we decided we would anchor there for the night and maybe spend a couple of days sightseeing.
Well, we were anchored across from the city docks there, over close to the island in the middle there. A few boats in between us and the docks. We took a dinghy, went ashore, and Georgine went wandering around town doing a little shopping and this, that, and the other. I was interested in this Georgetown Steel Company because I was an old steel worker myself there, and got an invitation to go in and see what was going on. Well, I got an invitation to go in, and I looked around. They showed me around, and it was very interesting because I'm an old steel man myself. I started working at steel mills in Baltimore at about age 15 and worked the open hearth, Bessemer converters, coke ovens, hot rolls. Walked over there and got an invitation to go in and see what was going on. Well, I didn't get any video because I didn't have my video camera. It had broken down. So I wandered around, they showed me around. They were very cordial. Really enjoyed myself. What you're seeing is the blood of steel. The red molten iron pouring out of the blast furnaces to soon go to the Bessemer converters to be converted to steel. Is what the steel industry was about. I worked in the steel mills, and I thought, like everybody else, that I had the blood of steel in my veins. That it would never leave, it would be there forever, and that I need fear no man. There's steel in my veins. That was what I thought at 16 years old.
This means taking care of home, taking care of our family, but we just got to learn to just take one day at a time now.
Leo Young has worked at the Georgetown Steel Mill on and off for about 18 years. He was trying to sleep before his night shift when he was woken up by the news the mill was closing.
Couldn't went back to sleep, because really this is something like our livelihood.
Luxembourg-based company ArcelorMittal plans to close the Georgetown plant by October of this year, putting 226 employees out of work.
Well, the old steel mill stayed shut down for about 20 years, and Liberty Steel came along and recognized that with the workforce still there, it wasn't so expensive to reopen that mill. So, because they didn't have to train all new employees. Well, about 2018, the economy had improved, and so they opened up the mill, and everybody's back to work, making steel again.
And export markets. The business has a proud tradition spanning 40 years, serving customers in the construction, automotive, pipes and tubes, SHS and highway sectors. In October 2015, just as the UK steel industry was about to descend into one of its deepest crises, the Liberty Steel Newport plant was formally restarted.
The site itself is an old steel mill which has been going since the 1970s. Gone through many difficult times. In December 2012, the then Russian owners contacted me to tell me they were going to close the plant. At the time I refused, got in contact with Sanjeev Gupta. I knew Sanjeev was interested in getting into steel making, so he decided to go with it and buy the plant. It took a couple of years to do, but he was always very determined. When we were idle, Sanjeev insisted that we do not lay anybody off, because as we know with the steel industry, it's all about experienced people. You've got to have these guys. And Sanjeev absolutely stuck with it. He's been very...
It's been an excellent journey at LSN for the last 2 years. We have been in a phase from startup to stability to growth now. We are growing from 150,000 to...
Well, I can't help but wonder a little bit if we're going to make all of our electricity with solar panels and windmills and other such renewable means. Where's the steel industries going to get the millions of kilowatts that they're going to need to manufacture steel in use today even, plus what we may need one day to fight a war? Well, we left with a certain amount of joy in my heart over this. Feeling pretty good about the new company that's moved in there, and feeling awful good about the guys that are in there making steel. Once you get into this steel thing, it's you kind of feel like you're among family when you get with these guys.
November 6th, Thursday. It was rainy and chilly this morning, and we decided we didn't much want to walk around in the rain in Georgetown, so we ate breakfast and left about 9 a.m. The weather cleared up after a couple of hours, and we had a pleasant day. We decided to stop early, and about 3 p.m., mile 430, we went into McClellanville. We walked into town to find a store, and I certainly am glad we did. The most gorgeous trees I have ever seen. Doug said they were live oaks. I hope we get our video camera back soon, and I'll want to stop at McClellanville on the way north next spring to get some tapes of those beautiful trees. But we never did get to go back to McClellanville to take those pictures. When Hurricane Hugo came through there in 1989, it really almost completely wiped out the little town of McClellanville.
We've just anchored in Church Creek, about 10 miles south of Charleston. Just pulled in off the inland waterway into the creek and anchored. A few other boats in here with us. Another little schooner. We're running through marsh grass up above Charleston, probably 10-15 miles above Charleston. The tide's down low right now, and you can see a whole lot of gravel washed up along the grass. When the tide gets up, you don't see any of that gravel. There's nothing there but grass right to the edge of the water. Looking out into the ocean through one of the little inlets. There's a section down through here about 15-20 miles. It's just one inlet after the other. Little small inlets like that going out into the ocean. And sitting in the water like that, there's usually a seagull sitting beside him. And if the pelican catches a fish, the seagull comes up and pecks him in the head and tries to take it away from him.
November 7th, Friday. It was really foggy this morning when we started off, and it stayed that way until about 10:30. Then the sun came out hot and bright. I put on my bathing suit and gave myself a good bath out of the bucket in the cockpit. As we came into Charleston Harbor at mile 465, we thought we were in for some rain. The fog was coming in behind us and some dark clouds were rolling around. We went up the Ashley River and anchored just off the channel beside the municipal marina at Charleston. We're going to spend some time here, a few days to a couple of weeks. We stopped about 2 p.m. but decided to just stay aboard and rest and read this afternoon. Tomorrow we'll row ashore and start our sightseeing. Our daughter Tina is going to send our mail here this week, and we're going to get in touch with Bob Grow and make some phone calls and write some letters. November 15th, 1986, Saturday. We're still at Charleston. We've had a very nice week. We've walked all over town seeing these beautiful old homes and some historical places that I can't even remember. It's really a good place to spend a few days. We've been here a little longer than we needed to be. It's gotten cold again. We haven't gotten our mail yet and haven't been able to get in touch with Tina. We will probably try again tomorrow. We are just going to wait until Monday and check the post office again and then leave. The temperature dropped down to about 35 degrees the last 2 nights. We've just stayed on the boat yesterday and today trying to keep warm. It's going to warm up now though. We've got in touch with Bob and he came and took us to dinner Tuesday night at a nice seafood restaurant across the Cooper River from the old part of town. It was really good to see him. He also came by Thursday and took us shopping for a couple of hours. The grocery store is on the other side of town from us, which would have been a long way to carry the groceries we need. As it was, the dinghy was full with just enough room for Doug and I to get in. We have plenty of groceries on board now. Monday, November 17th. We went ashore yesterday long enough to make a couple phone calls and get a few jugs of water. We finally got hold of Tina. It was so good to talk to her. We also called Julie and Bill Peterson and found they planned on leaving today, and also Connie and Ted Vest are leaving with them on their boat. They will be able to keep in touch part of the way anyway. It was raining hard when we got up this morning, and I was afraid we were going to spend another day in Charleston. Doug got all dressed in his foul weather gear and walked to the post office and grocery store and left me to do my dishes and dress and not get wet. When he got back, we went through our mail and had lunch and got ourselves ready to leave. We pulled up anchors and left about 1:30 p.m. It was still raining, but just lightly, and it was warmer, close to 70 degrees, so it wasn't too bad for traveling. We motored about 20 miles and anchored in Church Creek. Just as we anchored, the fog settled along the shore, and it was dark in just a few minutes. It's real pleasant and quiet. We heard an owl hoot in the distance. The moon is full tonight, but it's all hazy and foggy and kind of spooky looking. We can see the anchor lights of a few other boats, but can't see the boats. We can hear dogs barking and people coughing on shore, but can just barely see the shoreline. November 18th, Tuesday. It was still foggy this morning. We waited and ate breakfast, and about 9 a.m. we decided to go anyway, carefully. We motored on compass courses from marker to marker until afternoon. The fog slowly lifted, and we had a few hours coming down the Coosall River that we could see. It was still partly cloudy and chilly. We wanted to get as far as Beaufort, South Carolina, and it was dark when we anchored. November 19th, Wednesday. We probably should have stayed a couple of days in Beaufort. We had to wait until 9 a.m. to get through the swing bridge, and then we stopped at the city marina for fuel and water. It was really a nice marina with a laundromat and a store, and the town had stores, grocery, etc., very close to the waterfront. We may stop again on the way north next spring and spend a couple of days. Now we just want to get farther south quick. We decided to try and get as far as Thunderbolt, Georgia at mile 583. We sailed a good part of the day. which we haven't been able to do since we crossed the Albemarle Sound. We really made good time, and we thought we would be anchored by 5 p.m. We didn't count on waiting on a couple of bridges to open, though, and it was about 6 when we finally dropped anchor, just about a mile past Thunderbolt. November 20th, Thursday. We started off early this morning in the rain. It's been raining all day and still is. Although we anchored early, about 3 p.m., we traveled about 45 miles today. It started raining harder and we were wet, cold, and tired, so we decided to call it a day. We ducked in a little creek off the waterway and dropped our anchors. November 21st, Friday. We got up this morning to find that we had anchored in a very pretty spot. The sun was coming up and not many clouds. Cold but clear today. Most of the day we were in narrow creeks bordered by marsh grass. It's really funny to be going along and see grass for miles and miles and see other sailboats maybe a mile or so away, and it looks like they're in the middle of a field. You can't see the next creek or river until you get right to the marker to make a turn. Ever so often you see a tree or a little clump of trees on the bank and then grass for miles. The sun came out this afternoon nice and warm. It's really been a nice day.